Okay, so this video I'm going to talk about how to set up line weights and line types. So I've got a series of drawings. In the previous video, I put some of them on pages, on layouts. So refer to that if you're not sure what this is. And I've got them all in separate layers. I think this is the best way to do line weights in Rhino. If you're familiar with AutoCAD, there's something called color plot style tables or something like that. And what that does is it'll assign a line weight to a line based on the color of it. I don't believe that's possible in Rhino. And so the easiest way to do it is to put lines on separate layers and then assign line weights and line properties to those layers. So you can see here I've divided up my drawing into different layers. And right now those layers just have different display colors assigned. But in the layers panel, if I scroll over to the right, you can see I have a couple other columns there. I have line type, I have print color, and I have print width. First things first, I want to set the print color of all of my lines that I'm going to print to black. Now I'm going to select all these layers at the same time. I'm just holding Shift at the end there. And then this little diamond one is the print color. I can click on any one of them at this point because I have them all selected. And then I'll set them black. So now you can see that changed all the print colors. Under line type, the default is continuous, which is just a solid line. I'll leave that right now. And under print width, I can go in there and assign a line weight. I'm going to assign 0.13. I think that's a good kind of minimum, and it's a default line weight for Rhino. And then I'll go through one at a time and kind of adjust them all to what I actually want. So under heavy, let's scoot this over a little more as well. Heavy, obviously, that's my heaviest line weight. I'm going to change that to like a 0.6 or 0.7. Change my medium to like a 0.35 maybe. Let's try that. Change my light to like 0.25. This might be one more. You can also set custom ones by just typing in the box down here. You don't have to use one of the default ones. So I could like write 0.45 if I wanted to. And then the dimension lines and the dash lines and stuff like that, I think I'm going to leave as default for the time being. Now, the easiest way to tell what this looks like is to just change your, to go to your layout, go to my layout here where I've set up my drawings. And remember, these are already scaled on this page. So at the top left in the viewport options dropdown, I can choose print preview. And what that does is it shows me what my drawing is going to look like with the print properties assigned rather than the display properties. So it's giving me the colors and the line weights. If I zoom in a little further there, you can see those line weights. I know I should actually be trimming those lines, but I haven't done that. In any case, so this is basically a preview of what this drawing is going to look like when you print it out. But remember, when I zoom in, right, this is going to print at a certain scale. So when I zoom in, it's kind of showing me proportionally, but it's not necessarily showing me full scale. If you want to see what it looks like full scale, type in zoom and select 1:1. And so when you print it out, that should be roughly how big that is and how well those lines read. That makes sense. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out here, so I can also adjust things and kind of see how it looks once I'm set up. The other thing I wanted to point out here is you can change line weight properties per layout. So if you had the same drawing on multiple sheets, and for whatever reason, maybe it's more zoomed in one view or something, you could change the properties of that. You have like all the same properties, but they're for your this layout itself. So if I wanted to change like my heavy line weight to something thicker, but just on this page, I could do that just on this page. I didn't change it enough that you can really tell, but anyway. And then it wouldn't affect my other pages. So you have a couple more options there. Now, the other thing that I'll show you, I'm going to put this on a new sheet here. I'm going to zoom to my plan. Set my plan up to 1/8 inch equals a foot. And oh yeah, okay, so I have these lines here that are like grid lines for my structure. And you can see I've put them on a separate line. I've also got a dash line, which is like, this actually should be on that layer, sorry. So how do I set up line types? How do I make that look like a dashed line? So I'm going to go first of all back over into my model space. I'll go to top view there. Now I can assign a line type by just clicking under where it says line type, and I can click dash there, right? You can see nothing really changed. The reason is because it's so small in my model space that I can't see it. And I'll do the same for my structure line here. I'll do a dash dot for that. Oops, clicked on the dash dot, which is an option. Center is also an option. Border is also an option. And same thing is true here. I can't see it because it's so small that unless I zoom in, I don't see it. So I'll go back to page 2 here, and you can see I can kind of see those on my layout. So there is a scale factor that affects how large line types are. Line types show up between model space and layout. The reason being, no matter what I scale this drawing to, my line type is not going to change. So if I made this 1/4 of an inch, you can see the dash pattern didn't change. It's the same exact scale as it was before. I made it 1/16. Again, same exact scale as it was before. So when you adjust a line type, you're adjusting how it looks on your layout. And I'll show you how to do that. Type in options, go to line type, and in here, if I wanted to affect my dash line, now I guess I can't because these are the standard line types that are in Rhino. If I wanted to make one that was different than what I see there, I can copy it. Yeah, copy. So there I made a kind of a duplicate of it. Now I can adjust the pattern of it there, and I can also adjust the line type scale. So I can type in 2. Now the problem with that, and I'll click OK. Did that work? Why didn't I see a change? Like 5. Okay, so I think what's happening, so I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember this myself. Let's see. Under line type scale, I'll change it to like 50. Let's see what that. Okay, so line type scale affects how much bigger a line type is in your model space. So when I change that line type scale, you can see in my model space, it'll change, right? Because I'm drawing 1-to-1 in model space, the dimensions that I've set up my line type to, the dash and the space, are way too small. So if I change it to 100, for instance, now you can see, so that's a little more comfortable for model space. Like if I'm working in model space, I'll be able to see that better. But you can see it didn't make a bit of difference on my layout there. So if I did want to change my dash pattern on my layout, like I said, if it's a default one, you'll have to make a copy. And so with my -01 here, I can actually type in what I want. Just like in Illustrator, I can type the length of like a solid line and the length of the space between that line. And I just put a comma in between. So if I wanted a longer dash, like 8, and then I would do comma with a smaller space in between, 4. Click OK. Remember, I haven't actually assigned it to that layer yet, so I would go back to my layer and assign my -01, and there you can see that. That now affects what I'm seeing in my window there. Options one more time here. Dash dot I could make a copy of, and assign 8. Now just remember, alternating values are going to be solid line space. So I have an 8 millimeter long solid line. I'm going to do a 2 millimeter space. I'm going to do a 2 millimeter solid line, and then a 2 millimeter space. And you'll see what that looks like in your preview there. Click OK. Again, I haven't assigned it yet, so just change that to -01, and you can see it's a bit bigger. All right, so that gives you an idea of how to set up line types and how they work between model space and layout space.